Switzerland.
So on behalf of the Creative Circle, I welcome all of you once again to this meeting. Niladri, could you please introduce the Creative Circle to everyone here?
Yes. So good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming to this event. What we are going to discuss today is about type 1 diabetes, on which Geetika's book is about. But before that, before we go into the agenda of the meeting and the couple of steps that we have, we'd just like to introduce ourselves, the Creative Circle, and why we are conducting this meeting. We are a digital platform and a community of writers and creative people. Uh, and along with all the services that we provide and the community that we run, what we also do is that we support various initiatives and spread awareness about various initiatives. And diabetes is one such issue that a lot of people around the world face. It's not a country specific thing, and it's not an age specific thing. I think I'm pretty sure that everyone at least have one person in their family who's a diabetic.
जब थोड़ा तो कुछ भी फिर बोलिए सर कुछ
Yeah. So that's why we got together with Geetika and we came up with this event where we could invite all of you, and all of you, some of you could speak on the topic while others could listen and get more knowledge about this specific subject. So I guess we'll start now without wasting any more time. Everybody would be given, whoever wants to speak would be given a time, but please make
I'm
sure
going to
that
share my screen now.
Yeah,
Can
but
you all,
I just want to add one more thing, that please make sure that you are brief and to the point in whatever you're saying, because it will be better if we give more and more people a time to speak. And since we can't go on forever, and of course everybody would have other engagements as well, we'd like you to be brief and up to the point in whatever you speak about. So Chitra, please.
Yeah, so today's meeting is about overcoming challenges of type 1 diabetes. It's an awareness initiative by the Creative Circle. And this is in association with author Geetika Singh, whose book has launched recently. So what is type 1 diabetes? I think most of us already know, but there are several students in the audience, MSc students, who want to know more about this. So type 1 diabetes is a condition in which the immune system destroys insulin-making cells, specifically beta cells in the pancreas. The condition is usually diagnosed in children and young people. So it used to be called juvenile diabetes, but there are some exceptions to this as well. So now, how is it different from type 2? So let me give you an analogy for people who are not aware of this. So you know that both types of diabetes are chronic diseases that affect the way that our body regulates the blood sugar glucose. So if glucose is a fuel that feeds the body cells, to enter the body cells, it needs a key, and insulin is the key. So in type 1 diabetics, there's no keys because they cannot produce insulin. But in type 2, they can produce, but the body is not, it does not respond to insulin in the way that it should. And later on, they do not make enough insulin. So can a type 1 diabetic lead a normal life? Of course. A T1D can have a healthy, active, and long life. And that is why we are spreading awareness about this. And today's agenda is first to have a panel discussion. We have various experts, various students, various T1D champions who have started various initiatives about type 1 diabetes, and we'll be learning from them. Please mute yourselves so that we can have a smooth discussion. We'll have a discussion on type 1 diabetes with an interaction with author Geetika Singh, who has recently launched her book on this theme, Overcoming Challenges of Type 1 Diabetes, and it's a parent's guide based on true events. And of course, after that, we'll have a live question and answer session. We'll have feedback from the participants. So welcome to this discussion, guys. I would like to start this discussion with hearing from, please mute yourselves when you're not speaking. Just a minute. I would like to start this discussion with Andrew. Andrew Wilson, he's an accountant by profession who's been a T1D for 36 years. And he has co-founded an app that's going to launch soon called Incentive. And this can track your insulin sensitivity. And he often advocates low-fat, plant-based whole food lifestyle for improving the insulin sensitivity. So Andrew, we would like to hear from you about that entire experience. 36 years, it's a long time. So I'm going to spotlight you so that people can know you more.
Thank you. Well, yes, 36 years, and it is an awful long time. And for anyone that's had type 1, it's a challenge. Every day is a challenge, and we do get obviously caught up in the day-to-day. But what I found is as you get older, you become less able to deal with those day-to-day challenges. And what you actually do is you start to worry about the future. And that's my concern. And as an accountant who loves numbers ordinarily, you would have thought, you know what, this guy's going to be able to deal with diabetes because, as any of you know, it's all about the numbers. Now, the problem with being all about the numbers is that you can do the same thing 3 days in a row and your blood sugars do 3 different things. And so what I found after 29 years of being diabetic was, or 28 years of being diabetic, was that I was really struggling. I was really, really struggling controlling my blood sugars. I managed to get myself a pump and a CGM, but I was still struggling somewhat. And I then tried to search for more of a solution. And with all of my research and all of my time, and I am an academic after all, I spend a lot of time researching, and I came to the conclusion, which many people have, some of you guys probably have as well, which was, if I reduce the carbs, then I'll get less spikes, less drops, because I was rage bolusing to deal with the spikes, and I would be able to control my diabetes much better. So I went onto a ketogenic diet, which is low carb, high fat. Now, the problem, and I've got to say, for anyone that's following that, at the time, it was absolutely the right thing for me to do. Because, and again, I'm not here, although I'm eating completely different to that now, I'm not here to advocate one way or the other, because we're all on a journey. And what I've found over the 36 years of doing this is things change. You have to change. Type 1s, incredibly, are much more open to change than many other people because of the challenges that we have to face on a day-to-day basis, let alone a year-to-year basis. So if I just explain, I was eating 30 grams to 50 grams of carbs a day for 5 years, and I was very good at it. I was very diligent. Again, because of the numbers, I was very diligent, and I was able to control my blood sugars. The problem with this, and what I found over time was, if you do know, anyone with diabetes is already 2.5 times more likely to have cardiovascular problems. We are predisposed to do that. Now, the problem with that is if you're eating high fat, even myself, and I'm no doctor, I'm an accountant, I'm not a doctor, but I understood that if I'm eating high fat, on top of the fact that I'm 2.5 times more likely to have cardiovascular problems and heart attacks, there was going to be a problem. So what I did, and I was struggling with inflammation as well. I was having constant sinus infections, so much so that I was having operations every 12 months, which was horrific to go through, and constantly struggling to talk. Now I can breathe and I feel good. But what I did was I searched for a further solution. I was having complications after 5 years being ketogenic, and I searched for a further solution. And now I am low fat, high carb. I now eat 400 to 500 grams of carbs a day. And because I'm an accountant, I tracked every part of this. And this is something different to what you'll hear everywhere else. There are other people, lots of people following this way of eating. And I don't like to call it a diet. I like to call it a lifestyle. And there's a reason for that, because this way of eating is sustainable. And this is what I'm trying to promote. And this is where my app I've co-founded an app with, and what we're going to do is prove the fact, and with your help and with everyone's help, we're going to prove the fact that it's not about what we eat on a day-to-day basis. It's about what we eat overall and the amount of fat that's in our food. It's about insulin sensitivity. So it's just the narrative of what we talk about. Lots of us like to look at our blood sugars and like to look at our time in range. Of course, that's important. But my app will track your journey from wherever you are now to wherever you're going to be following a low-fat, plant-based, whole food lifestyle. Now, I'll give you a couple, I won't take up too much of your time, but I'll give you a couple of stats. My insulin sensitivity, I was eating 1.2 grams of carbs per unit of insulin a day. And that was on my ketogenic diet. I'm now eating 28 grams of carbs per unit of insulin. That is 17 times more insulin sensitive. My carb to insulin ratio for my food was 1 to 12 on the ketogenic. I'm now 1 to 50. So I am consuming so much less insulin, which means I am so much healthier. And the reason for that is, you can look this up, your insulin sensitivity is globally recognized as having good health. And there's a reason for that, because if you're insulin resistant, you're more likely to be obese, you're more likely to have cardiovascular problems. It can lead to osteoporosis. It can lead to impotence for all the men out there listening to this. So this is what the app does. And the app hasn't been released yet. If you're at all interested in doing so, we have beta testers in the US and the UK. We don't have beta testers anywhere else yet. But what I'd like to do is offer you guys the opportunity to pre-register for the app. So if you're following me, if you could follow T1D_OneLife, I'll say that again, T1D_OneLife on Instagram. I will be posting about this and you can pre-register, and I'm looking for more beta testers. So I hope that gives you an overview. All I'd say now is that I'm feeling fantastic after 36 years. I'm healthy. I know where my HbA1c is, which is incredible. I'm eating 400 to 500 grams a day. My time in range is 90%, 92% in fact this week. So I hope that was a good overview, guys. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you, Andrew, for this wonderful overview of this entire journey and your app. I think it's going to be a great product, and all the T1Ds here will be excited to try out what your app has to offer. So since you spoke about cardiovascular diseases, we have a cardiologist here who could also give his own unique perspectives on T1D, whether he has encountered any such cases during his medical career. And also Dr. Anand Ahuja, I would like to introduce him. He's a leading cardiologist. He's also an author. He has recently published his short story collection and a book of poems. So Dr. Ahuja, are you with us here? Can you hear us? Yes, Dr. Ahuja, you are unmuted. Can you hear us? Okay. Yeah, so you'd be speaking next. So could you just turn on? Okay, your audio has some issue. No problem. Yeah, okay. So.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you mind if I just give you one more stat about my figures that I've tracked for myself, not just other people that are using the app? The last stat, if it's okay, is I started with 24.8 units of background insulin. So this is insulin with no food, okay? Now, I'm now taking 8 units of insulin per day. So I'm 66% less background insulin. So I think that again, we talk about insulin sensitivity being the major cause of not obviously type 1 is what type 1 is, but for type 2, it's really important. It's important for all of us. Sorry, I just thought I'd give you that stat as well. Thank you.
That's absolutely fine. Andrew, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, the next speaker here would be Jyotsna. Thank you so much for joining in, Jyotsna. I would like to just request her to unmute herself. Jyotsna is a SEA representative. She is an IDF Young Leader in Diabetes. She's a mental health and diabetes advocate, and she has a community called Diabetes in Style. So let us know more from her and the community that she has founded and what it means to be a young leader in diabetes. So Jyotsna, over to you. I'm going to spotlight you so that people can see you clearly.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Chitra, and I'm glad to be here amongst all of you. And first of all, congratulations to Gitika. I'm really excited. This is the first time I'm connecting with her, and every time I meet a new T20, it's like I get very excited. So I'm glad to be here, and thank you for the invitation. Talking about my journey, I think the day I got the opportunity to be part of the IDF's Young Leader in Diabetes program, it was life-changing for me. I'm based out of India, and in India, all of these issues about diabetes management, insulin, accessibility and affordability are one thing, but there are other challenges that take over these real issues, and that is the stigma and the misconception surrounding type 1 diabetes, and it is prevalent in India. And we all are, trying to overcome this challenge in our own ways. And with that thought, I started my advocacy journey through IDF's program, and it really changed my life. I connected with so many people all around the world. I learned about how, they manage their condition. I learned about, the kind of difficulties and challenges that they face in their countries. And with that, I was able to spread some awareness about things that are happening in India and how we still have to, tell people, no, we didn't get type 1 diabetes because I had too much of sweet or because my grandfather had it. And it's important that people should know the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, because it's not just important to have insulin and, all of these devices until you don't know how to use them, until, education is not there, awareness is not there. So that is one thing that I'm very passionate about and I'm working for. And I started this community's Diabetes in Style because, I meet a lot of young girls coming back to me and saying that, kids bully them and they tell them that, you should not show your diabetes devices and you should not take your injections and in public. And this is a taboo and stigma that we all are facing. And due to this, people are not able to accept their condition and they're not able to come forward. And until they don't accept it, they get into diabetes burnout and they have other mental health issues. And that is why it's important to empower and to motivate these young girls to not just accept their condition, but also feel comfortable with it and feel empowered with it to not just help themselves, but also help others in this journey while living with type 1 diabetes. And with that thought, I'm running a lot of social media campaigns and I'm connecting with a lot of other people who could be part of this campaign and help me to eradicate stigma and to, help people live the best life with type 1 diabetes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyotsna.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Dr. Ahuja, has your audio issue been sorted?
I think it'll take a little more time.
If they could just go to the next speaker.
Yeah.
Come back.
So I would like to invite Sarah Mickey, and can you unmute yourself, please? She is a type 1 diabetic mother working to spread awareness through fitness programs, and she's an ELA teacher. So I would like to hear more about your perspective about how type 1 diabetes has been for you, and why do you think fitness plays such an important role? So I'm going to spotlight you here.
Okay, so yes, I am an elementary school teacher. I've taught first grade and middle school, and my daughter was diagnosed about 2 years ago. So we're pretty brand new to the whole diabetes lifestyle. She was in 4th grade, 9 when she was diagnosed. She will be 12 this month, actually. So we've been doing it for about 2 years. And I think it was just a huge learning curve for me. And I got a lot of, I guess in the beginning, a lot of hack. And I know the gal that spoke before, I'm sorry, I can't, Jyotsna, just about, did you feed your kid too much sugar when they were growing? And those are just very frustrating comments. And I know people are just, I don't think that they mean it, not all of them, to be rude. They just are ignorant and they just truly don't know. So I'm a big advocate for children. Obviously, I'm an elementary school teacher. I want kids in the classroom to be respectful. I have some friends we have like a community here where I live. Their daughter was also diagnosed when she was 5, so super tiny and little. And she's just had some really mean kids in school, in the classroom, that just kind of bully her. And, you know, when they use their pump and things like that, they're just not nice. So I'm a big advocate for spreading awareness in the classroom, even. You know, I kind of talk about it in my classroom, and like my daughter, her classroom, and she does a pretty good job as far as that goes. But as far as fitness, yes, I've been kind of on a journey myself, just for the last about year and a half, calculating macros, and myself losing weight, but I've also kind of drug her along with me in a sense, because she is obviously 11 going on 12. So puberty is hitting, which, as a lot of you probably know, plays a huge role in her numbers. And so for me, it's just frustrating because I don't want her to have a bad image with food, and not, you know, and as a girl, I don't want her to have a bad image of, if you eat more carbs, you know, yes, diabetics have a hard time losing weight and they tend to be obese. And I don't want that for her. I don't want her to grow up and become obese and then have just a lot harder time losing it. So I've been trying to tread that topic very lightly with her without damaging that situation as far as relationship with food and how you feel about yourself being a young teenage girl. So she's very active in gymnastics. She does competition gymnastics. And her and I actually just completed a challenge that we started on spring break. Her and I did 100 pull-ups every single day for 100 days. And we actually just finished that this week. So I'm just trying to keep her active, because I do know that being active and exercising and things like that plays a big role in diabetics. And we're just trying to navigate, I guess this is new to me, as far as the puberty aspect. And so I don't know, some of you on here probably have a lot you could share and help me through, but because her numbers are just, like Andrew said, they can be perfect for one day, and then the next day it's like we did the exact same thing. And I'm like, why are you over 400? And there's absolutely no reason. And it's really hard for me because I feel like the insulin sensitivity factor, there's days that I just feel like I'm pumping insulin in her, and I don't know if it's from her hormones are changing being 12, or if it's, I don't know. And I don't like that, but obviously I have to get her number down. So that's kind of my background there. So yeah, we're brand new to this, so I don't have 20 some years of experience. So you guys all talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, they seem so much more knowledgeable than me right now. But we're managing, we're doing pretty good. She's a trooper. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That this has been incredible knowing from you. And it doesn't matter where we are in all our journeys of T1D, but we all have our learning curves, and we can be 36 years into this journey or just starting out, and it's always difficult, and we always need support. And what you're doing is really incredible, because raising kids and even spreading awareness in the classroom, it's very important, particularly with young kids, and they have these kind of self-esteem issues, and people around them, maybe they are not as understanding. So raising awareness is of utmost importance. And I think our next panelist, Monica, will be able to spread, have more discussions on this, because she's a counselor. She has a degree in clinical psychology. I'll be introducing her. But thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us. And this experience was so surreal. You have been talking about it, and there was this vulnerability where you have talked about kids, and you've talked about this kind of helplessness. Sometimes it creeps into us when we don't know how to manage the situation. And I think having a support network is really important. And I think you're doing a great job. Great job. Super mom. So, okay, so next panelist is Monica. She's specialized in clinical psychology, cancer survivor herself. She knows the value of emotional support along with medical support. And so Monica, as a counselor and from a teen psychology point of view, how important is support when a condition like T1D arises? And as Sarah has described what happens in classrooms or kids, what self-esteem issues can crop up, and what would you suggest to family and friends for effective management?
Hi guys. First, parents usually should understand the kids, because every child is different. Every single child will be living in their own world. We have to just go inside them and find them first to understand them. Then only we can able to help them. Usually, not only in T1D, sort of every other diseased kids will be having some random common objections like isolation. Usually they will feel isolated from other kids, because other normal kids will be just like this normal. They will be like, okay, why am I like this? Every single diseased kid will be having this thought. Why am I like this? Why am I different from this, from other kids? Why did God made me like this? That is the first question will be popping in their minds, because they're just kids. They know nothing, because from early childhood you'll be telling them, okay, if you do something wrong, God will be punishing you, like that we used to. So it will be in their mind, why God punished me like this? What did I do? They'll be thinking like that. So we just have to be very careful around them. Then obviously they will deny. They won't accept they are having this problem, because usually kids now, they're just very what to say, very soft personalities, just like a bunny. They just won't accept it. First of all, if even they do something wrong, they won't accept. No, I didn't do. They usually deny. So it will be very hard for them to accept a disease. And of course, due to these conditions and all, they'll be depressed. Depression is the worst case scenario when when usually kids go through this, because we can't get out a depressive kid. No matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, depression is the worst enemy for the kid. Then suddenly they will be they'll be feeling very guilty, because they feel like, okay, my parents are suffering because of me, my family is suffering because of me, everyone is treating me different, my brother is better but I am different, like that and all. They'll be feeling guilty. These and all will be changing into anger. So
can you just
you wrongly muted me.
okay, sorry.
Okay.
I would like to ask everyone to just mute yourselves when you're not speaking. Yeah. Okay, Monica, continue.
Yeah. Angers, obviously, they'll be treating everything. They'll be throwing temper tantrums. Everything will be going on. And obviously, they'll be fearing. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. So, and of course, they'll be embarrassed as well. So, as you said, you need to be taking insulin regularly, like that. Sorry, I don't know nothing about T1D. I am just randomly saying. So this is the major issues every kids are going to be going through. How you can help? That is the biggest question in every single parent. You can help by acknowledging their feelings first. You should understand them. You should try. You should stop protecting them and let them be what they want to be. You should definitely make them express their feelings, what they feel, what they actually feel. You can make it by not only talking. You can give them like arts, make them do arts, hear some music or read some stories, dance, no matter what the thing is, but you just have to help them go through those things. You should definitely leave them independent. You should stop coddling them, because as long as they are out there, they won't feel anything. If you keep on protecting them, they will just be like, okay, they'll become fully dependent on you, and lifelong they'll be like that only. They won't change. So you should leave them independent. Okay, it might be tough, because in school and all, they definitely be bullies. Not only to the disease kids, to normal kids also there'll be bullies. So you must make them ready. You must make them extra ready, in fact. So you should make them speak. You should make them talk out. As long as they are fine, they can cope it out. I think that's more than enough for today.
Yeah. Thank you, Monica.
You should definitely correct their misconception. You should make the idea clear. You should say, this is not your problem, dear. It's just a random thing. It's a genetic thing. You should do is it's nothing. Even most of our family members are like that. You should talk to them, and if possible, make other kids like who are under the same disease talk with them like a community-based work. It will be much better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you once again.
Yeah.
Very insightful, and thank you so much. I think we'll next go to Dr. Ahuja. I think it's sorted now. Dr. Ahuja, if you could just turn on your video and unmute yourself.
So, Dr. Ahuja, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, I sorted out now.
Okay, so yeah, from a cardiologist perspective, as Anjus has already said, that there are several, cardiovascular problems that a type 1 diabetic can have. Also, being from the medical fraternity, how does all this, figure out for you? Like books, how can they spread awareness? What is your perspective on type 1 diabetes, and how do you think network supporting, people, and even interactions with doctors on platforms like this, where you have T1D patients, you have doctors, you have counselors. So how do these interactions help in better preparedness for life, or a good healthy life for a T1D patient?
Yes. Most of the people have type 2 diabetes, like the adult onset diabetes, which has insulin resistance in that. Compared to that, type 1 diabetes affects young children or very young adults. Relatively compared to type 2, it's much less, but the amount of awareness is very, very minuscule. And the acceptance of the problem, dependence on insulin, and insulins are slightly expensive. And most of the times I see type 1 diabetics more common in the underprivileged strata, in the lower socioeconomic strata, and they frequently come up with frequent complications because they do not afford consistent lifelong insulin. That really shatters my heart, because when they say we don't have enough food to eat, how do you manage insulin for that sake? The part of the country I come from, I'm from Gujarat, and I see a lot of patients with very, very poor people, slum dwellers, have type 1 diabetes, and their life gets really miserable. As soon as they stop insulin, they get diabetic ketoacidosis. They're usually cachexic, malnourished. As such, they don't get nutritious food. And with type 1 diabetes and insulin deficiency, their condition, the quality of life is really miserable. They get a lot of secondary infections. Their immune systems are quite weak. I see a lot of patients getting heart attacks at a very premature age also. I've done an angioplasty of a 13-year girl I put 3 stents in that with type 1 diabetes. That really, I don't want to see children coming from schools and getting angioplasties done. But sadly, that's what happens when, fortunately for type 2 diabetes, there is a good amount of awareness. The non-communicable disease is a nationwide program which the government is running. It's providing free medicines also in government hospitals, but still, insulin is not being provided by government hospitals free of charge for underprivileged people. Forget insulin, even awareness is not there. Many people don't understand what is that. They go to a pharmacist and directly takes medicines, and those pills don't work for type 1 diabetics. There's a lot of problems that we see, and a lot of things should be done for spreading the awareness. And that should be done at a grassroots level where people actually are there. We talk amongst ourselves, but this knowledge, this message, this awareness should percolate to the lowest strata where these people actually belong. So I think that should come from including a lot of such awareness things in school curriculum, or there should be counselors in even government hospitals who talk to not just the patients but their attendants also, so they are the caregivers and the society at large. We still see a lot of awareness campaigns about polio drops. Now we have eradicated polio for almost 1 decade now, but we still see advertisements for polio. I don't mind it. We still see a lot of advertisements for tuberculosis and malaria everywhere we see, but there is no initiative. I don't see much initiative from the government to spread awareness for diabetes, hypertension, or heart disease. I don't know why that priorities, those still need to be reset. But I think, a lot of more and more such talks will help spread the right word so that people accept it and they adopt a healthy lifestyle. And they would be able to live a near normal life with minimal complications. They would be able to sustain not just themselves but their families, and they can have their good work life balance, and they are away from disease and its morbidity also. I think a lot of those things need to be done. I think if there's something more specific, but yeah, heart disease is something which really hurts. 80% of diabetics, they die from heart diseases. So uh, it's basically not the diabetes which kills, but most of the times it's the heart that kills them.
True.
So good. I
That's
think
very
that's why creating awareness is so important, and all the congratulations Geetika for writing the book. That creates awareness, because it's the first time I really saw someone writing a book on type 1 diabetes. I mean, I
Yeah.
have been in the writing industry for about 15 years, and I have not seen a single book on type 1 diabetes. So when the first time she told me about the book and about, I myself was quite unaware of what type 1 diabetes was and stuff like that.
I really congratulate the writer for having written this book. I have just one request. Please get this book translated into local vernacular Indian languages so that the common masses can read, understand, and comprehend, and imply or take into apply whatever the learnings are from the book.
That's a very good
So please, that's a
Very,
genuine
very
request.
good suggestion.
Long felt need. Yes.
Okay, everyone, there's just one panelist left. Souvik, are you there with us? I think he
Hello.
yeah.
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. I'm just going to introduce you first. So Souvik Majumdar is an experienced person in pharma marketing. He has pursued his master's degree in pharmaceuticals, and his articles have been published in Asian Journal of Pharmaceutics, and another one on brain-targeted drug delivery is published in Calcutta Institute of Pharmaceutical Technology magazine, and he has had vivid exposure on diabetics and diabetic neuropathy. So, Souvik, just we would like to hear your perspectives, having exposure to diabetics and diabetic neuropathy. What do you think of this disease and its present status in India?
First of all, good evening to everyone who is there. As I have worked in this pharmaceutical industry for more than nearly around 10 years. So during and I have to travel all throughout the India. So when I was traveling all throughout the India, I found a lot of things is going. We had done a lot of campaigns also from our houses, that is especially for the diabetics. But when we visited the interior part of the countries like Assam, like Madhya Pradesh, like Gujarat, like Rajasthan, like Bombay, and that other Maharashtra, and better to say Chennai. When we visited the interior parts, everywhere we found that most of the people are unaware about these diseases, type 1 diabetes or rather type 2 diabetes both. And majority of the parts, that today's world is going to change because of only one particular virus which has changed the dimension. And type 1 diabetics is generally it's a juvenile diabetics. So we better to say that that in our childhood days when we were there, we generally spend our time with that is going to the outside, playing with others and doing everything, lot of things. But nowadays it is found that majority of the children who are there, they are remain in their houses, and most of the time when they are even in their houses, they have nothing to play, no other persons to whom can they play. And moreover, internet and everything, computer, everything like these things has grasped the society in such a way that this playing, going outside, playing with the other persons, and all these things has been changed. And walk, exercise, walking patterns, these all these things for the pediatric patients generally has been gone away. So playing, doing exercise, all these things, and also along with this one, food. One of the another problem is the malnutrition. And whenever I found in India, majority of the parts of the country, we found that malnutrition is another problem because majority of the people don't get the food properly. As per American Diabetic Association, lots of foods has been suggested, lots of things has been suggested. But the basic point is there, the things which is required, they generally don't get the minimum amount of food. So where they will get all these, that is unnecessary extra things for their feedings. So the main problem is they all have become the sufferer of the problems of having this malnutrition condition. And majority of people, majority of the patients' family, they are until today unaware of these conditions. Their patients are having this particular problem of this type 1 diabetes deficiency. So the thing is that when I'm speaking about this point, when you do the campaign, like one of the problems like Bajisha meters and giving the everything, that is it, BA1C, we found majority of the cases, the majority of the pediatric patients are having the ranges of nearly around 8 to 10. And this is obviously higher side on the cases. And majority of the patients are having the chances of having ketoacidosis, which is in their further life. So this is the problem they are facing. So I don't know when this corona will be ended, and when this corona situation will be ended, and when this all these children will be going outside. Once again they will go to their school. Once again they will work out. Once again they will play. All these things will happen, and also along with this one, depression is also increasing as they are remaining in their house all throughout the day and don't having the proper amount of that is deficiency that is amount of person and their friends to talk with. They're getting deficient about all these particular points. So majority of the reason is that now in this last 2 years, if you follow, nearly around 70,000 to 80,000 pediatric patients have been reported all throughout the India having this type 1 diabetes. But though CDIC has been developed by Indian government and majority of the things has been taken by the PHC, local PHC and everything, but still the awareness campaign is not so much like that. And the awareness program is also not so much. And majority of the pediatric patients family, they doesn't know also their patients are having these things. And suddenly when this increases and return stages, it causes the damages of the organs and also causes the damages because it is also dependent of insulin. So when insulin is not there proper amount of things, so carbohydrate digestion, fat digestion becomes totally obsolete. So moreover, CDIC units wherever is there, that is also far away from the means in such a city they are located from the underdeveloped area to that particular area, which is nearly around long distance they have to cover. So that getting the benefits from the CDIC is also very much difficult for them. So the thing is that if they get the proper amount of this, if this CDIC units can be increased more and more from the government side, and this awareness campaign increased from lots amount of side, so I think that these things can be under control. So one of these factors is that depression, malnutrition, and without playing, without exercise, all these things has damages the patients.
Thank you so much, Mr. Majumdar. This was really enlightening, and truly you have highlighted the problems across India and of
Yes,
course,
definitely. What I have seen all these things when I was covering this all throughout the India.
and this can be highlighted only through someone who has done all these surveys, and the statistics that you quoted were really
You will find majority of the today's day, majority of the children's habit of taking a lot amount of chocolates, and majority of the patients having a lot amount of, yes, this is definitely things, and this is
so that is difficult because
also.
because you know, with type 1 diabetes it's very difficult because they often ask, so these are the little things that come up, like they want to have a particular food, they want to have pizza, they want
junk
to
food
have
also. Junk food is
often they're having, why can't we have? So it might be very trivial for us, but not so much for the kid, because there's this entire pressure of trying to fit in. And so yeah, these are certain small problems which happen, but
attraction for the junk food is also another reason. Attraction, not amount. You will find that many of the children having the habit for taking the junk food. That is also another reason.
So healthy
pizza and burger, all these like things, and more privileges than taking the rice and roti in chapatis in the room.
So how do we inculcate this habit of healthy eating, healthy living? So
see, all these things can be done if we aware to the parents who are there that not to give so much to the pediatric patients, so that it can be cause problem. Because you know that another reason for these junk foods and this chocolate, another reason is also increasing, that is PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome for the female persons. And that is also a major concern, because today's day you will find a lot of in vivo in vitro centers are opening because they are having infertility issues on later stages. And that is another also problem of the type 1 diabetes, because insulin is related to the secretion of that is formation of the PCOS. So that's why I will hope that if this is all things you can control, so they can this can be controlled immediately.
Yeah, sure, Souvik. And thank you so much for joining and giving us so many insights. And one of the things that you mentioned about ketoacidosis, Geetika's book has an element of that. So how she learned about this. So thank you.
I'll be happy to learn this from her book. I will, as soon as I get the book from Madam, so I will be definitely.
Yeah, definitely. All the panelists here who have participated in the discussion, you'll be receiving the book from Geetika. And even there are so many students in the audience who have requested a copy of Gitika's book because they want to know more about diet. So that's where, Andrew's discussion came into play, and Gitika's book, which has around 100 plus tips on how to manage this condition. So without delay, we are going to spotlight Gitika. So Gitika, this day is yours, and this is your book launch, and we would really like to hear from you how this journey started for you and why you decided to write this book, what inspired you. So
And also,
yeah.
and also,
Okay.
just before Gitika starts, I mean, there are a lot of people here who, of course, they know about her, but I would just like to give a small introduction of Gitika, so that anybody who is not aware of who she works for is aware. So, Gitika is a civil engineer and then MBA, and she has been working in the corporate world as a market researcher for the last 21 years. She was detected with type 1 diabetes at the age of 16 when she had just stepped into the college life at NIT Kurukshetra. And naturally, this caused a turmoil in her life, but thankfully, her family handled it very carefully and took a tough yet very thoughtful decision of letting her continue her studies while staying at the hostel, which was 1,500 kilometers away from their home. And this book, Overcoming Challenges of Type 1 Diabetes, is about her journey and experience during her initial post-detection phase of life. A constant support from her family, relatives, and friends helped her a lot to accept her condition positively and to overcome all challenges which came along. So, over to you, Gitika.
Many of our family and friends are present in this meeting today. So whoever you are, if you read the book, you will find all the characters that are mentioned in the book. They're actually present in the meeting. And having read the book, it's quite an overwhelming experience for me to see all the people who have supported her so sincerely through the journey. So and everyone, we are going to upload this video to YouTube today, and you can see that by tomorrow. So I'm going to type the YouTube channel in the link. You can just subscribe to this channel, and then you can see the video by tomorrow. So Gitika, the stage is yours.
Okay. First of all, Chitra, Niladri, and team, thank you so much for arranging this. Because one of the reasons, like you asked me, what was the inspiration behind writing the book? The reasons was spreading awareness, and sharing my experiences with other type 1 diabetics and other people, Of course, one of the very important reason was also paying gratitude to all the people who have been so closely involved in what I am today. And some of them are present here. I'm very grateful for them to join in here. So yes, that's one of the reasons, the gratitude. Another reason is spreading awareness, some of you have spoken about aspects like medical, financial. So my book touches upon more the psychological and the emotional aspects, not so much the medical, because I'm not a medical expert, Neither am I a financial hit person, So financially was not really challenging, but yes, that can also be a challenge. But one thing which is common, be it across globe, across economic strata, across age, in fact, I would say even across type 1 or type 2, is a lot of love and support. A lot of interestingly, very carefully creating that conducive environment for the child, for the member. That's something which my book touches upon. And I'm very proud and happy about the fact, I have received all the love and support from my people, from my family. In fact, I would like to thank my parents here, my Masi, Dr. Sadhana here, my cousin Sangam Bhaiya here, my Mami ji who's also here. There is Dr. Harinder here. There is my friend Neetu who has joined in here. A lot of you, my father-in-law is here. So I think a lot of love and care was what was created. And I've touched upon, in fact, Monica spoke about a concept which is actually developed by psychologist Elizabeth. So before you actually, when it's right, it takes the time to accept. And accept, before reaching acceptance, there are multiple stages, you know. It's anger, depression, you know, it's almost denial. You're in denial. ये मेरे साथ हो ही नहीं सकता है. How, it cannot happen with me. Yeah, that is very critical. In fact, I'm sure not just the child, even the parents and caregivers, they experience this. It cannot be. You're in denial stage for a very long time. And that's very critical because many a times people slip into depression, like she mentioned, or people slip into not caring about it. Because if you're in denial, you will not care about it. And that can be very dangerous. So very important, the moment you get to know about it, you have to somewhere just keep a momentum alive and accept the condition. And one of the things I've spoken about in the book, yeah, till you accept it. If your family doesn't accept, how will others accept? Yeah, so standing there tall and accepting the condition is what I've spoken. Then, of course, there are other aspects which I've touched upon and which is about safety bubble. Yeah. So some of the things which all of you have spoken about is, you know, how you can help or reach out, you know, Shovik spoke about, you know, it's so important to make them understand, reach out. And I think one of the things which is very important is safety bubble, creating a safety bubble for the child, for the diabetic member in the family or in the circle. And what is safety bubble? Safety bubble is a space for the child where the child feels very safe to disclose. It's okay to be vulnerable in that space. It's okay to, you know, I think Christy touched upon a topic of bullying. I'm so fortunate. I never got bullied in my life. In fact, I only got good people who actually supported me, be it my college, be it my hostelers, be it my fellows. There's Neetu, she can tell more about it, you know. I don't think I ever got bullied. And I never faced a situation where, you know, of course, there was lack of awareness amongst many. But the moment you start disclosing, the moment you explain to people now, suddenly you see there's so much of help pouring out, you know. There's so much of help reaching out to you. Be it, you know, small instances like helping in your luggage, helping to arrange for cold chain insulin, helping to arrange for ice in long travels, helping in creating, you know, that comfortable. In fact, in my book, I have also acknowledged airline staff, hotel staff, you know, all the staff of officers who have, you know, wherever I've worked or gone to. There have been clients where I would go and, you know, the canteen boy would just give me a little, you know, hint, okay, I'm getting the sugar-free tea for you, you know. Those little things, they are actually creating a safety bubble for you because, you know, you can stand there confidently and say, yes, I'm a diabetic and I need that support from you. Will you help me? So asking for help is not being weak. It's not weakness. Go ahead for help. Go ahead and make people aware if they don't know. Everyone is not aware. People talk a lot about cancer. How many of us are aware what a cancer patient undergoes? Somebody who hasn't experienced it in the family doesn't know. You have to make others aware. You know, this is something which she needs, or this is something which she cannot do, which is absolutely fine. If your it's about timing of food. If it's about, you know, there is such funny incidents, and I'm sure Neetu can or Dr. Sadhna will be able to tell you. You know, people would offer something to me, and I would look at the watch. Is it time for me to eat or not? Andrew is laughing. Yes, you know, it happens. So you don't sometimes eat as per hunger. You eat as per watch, you know. And sometimes it's time to eat, but you're not hungry. So these are things that you have to train yourself. It's all about managing things psychologically, I think. And for that, I would give a lot of, gratitude I would pay and a lot of credit to my safety bubble. I would like to narrate a little incident out here. I remember in the initial days, you know, and I used to love rice, and there was a particular dish, curry, for Andrew and Sarah, who don't know. There's an Indian dish made out of sour curd, yogurt. It's called curry. And I used to love it. But, you know, would be full of carbs. Rice is full of carbs. Yeah. And Dr. Sadhana used to be controlling my carbs a lot, very strictly those days. So I would say, okay, I want to eat a lot of rice. I don't feel like eating. Then she would let me eat. She would let me eat. She would moderate the amount, you know. For example, if I wanted to eat 2 chapatis, she would take the amount of flour of 1 chapati and divide it into 2 and make 2. She said, you wanted 2 chapatis, you're getting 2 chapatis. So it's not about, you know, always, it's about playing the game with the mind. That's what is important. Yeah. So I think it's about letting the person know that we are there for you and we understand you. We feel for you. Yeah. We may not be able to feel your pain, but we understand what you're going through. Yeah. That's something which you want to make the family member understand and you know, make the type 1 realize, you know. So it's okay to sometimes slip. It's absolutely fine. Which I've touched upon in my book is a chapter on diabetes burnout. Yeah, that's something which I'm sure all of the type 1 diabetics undergo in life. And one of the things, and in fact, Andrea would like to talk about also, you spoke about insulin resistance and sensitivity. So one of the practices, and which I'm very proud of being from this country, we have the origin of yoga. And yoga has helped me sail through this beautifully in controlling my metabolism, you know, with age, with time. And number 2, with calming me down. So no stress. I always try and keep my stress under control by doing yoga and meditation. It really helps. So there is no rigorous exercise, but very, so my body is very agile, flexible. I also run sometimes 5-6 kilometers. But more than anything, I do my yoga. Yeah. In fact, that's helped me a lot. In fact, the foreword of my book is by world famous Hansaji, who is the director of the Yoga Institute at Mumbai. Yeah. That's the value of safety bubble. That's the value of being able to control your stressful, you know, mind. That's the value of how you can actually control your metabolism. These things are very important. And as you age, somewhere your metabolism changes. And Sarah, you will see that with your daughter as she's growing, you know, if she can easily digest 4 units of insulin, a particular carb, 10 years later, it will be different. Another 5 years later, it will be totally different. So I'm very proud to say that past 10 years, I'm on the basal same level. I think it's a very big thing for people with type 1 diabetics, they can understand. And all that is possible because I was able to maintain my physical activity. So I have no breaks in my physical activity. I walk for 7 kilometers on an average in a day. And along with that, I do about 45 minutes to 1 hour of yoga. Yeah, so that keeps me going. That keeps me very stable in my mind, in my body. Yeah. So these are little things which really help. And I'm sure sometimes you slip. It is okay. It's really okay. Yeah. What you need to have in this bubble is people to watch out for, but not criticize you. Very subtly watch out for. So I remember in hospital also, you know, if I sometimes would binge a little, Neetu would tell me, "Main dekh rahi hu, tum kha rahi ho. I'm watching out, but it's okay. Just control your amount." You know, so I had created these policemen around me, if I may say. Yeah, they would keep policing me, but they would never kind of make me feel guilty. I never felt guilty. I have no regrets. You know, I think I've lived life to fullest. It's one thing to do something, go for a cheat meal and then feel bad. I never felt bad because I knew, one, I'm being watched out, and two, I'm doing in moderation. So that's moderation is another thing which I've learned from my mother-in-law. She always says, you know, don't get into extremes of anything. She always says, be in moderation, you know, live a moderation, life of moderation. Do everything, you will never miss out on things, and you will never regret anything. So that's a beautiful way to look at things. Yeah. And on one more thing, which I think Andrew spoke about, was on plant-based versus kind of, touched upon the diet stuff. So I'm very blessed that, my Masi, Dr. Sadhna, she was very conscious and cautious about carbs. My mom is a nutritionist herself, so we have been brought up by in an environment, and those days eating out was not very popular. Although when I was struck with diabetes, suddenly there was a revolution of Chinese food which was happening in India during mid 90s, which was full of junk food. Yeah. But the good part is Indian food is so balanced. In fact, my Masi, Dr. Sadhna, used to say, Indian food is very healthy food, and diabetic food should be eaten by everyone, not just the diabetic. We all ate the same food, always, be it at my mom's place, be it at Patiala, at my Masi's place, or be it at Delhi. Indian diet is very, very wholesome. It's very full of fiber, right amount of proteins, right amount of carbs. It's in fact, one just needs to follow it and not dilute it or pollute it by, adding on other stuff. In fact, Neetu out here, she has moved a lot into Indian and natural diet. It really helps she's lost a lot of weight thanks to that. She's gained a lot of vitality. She always tells Neetu, would you like to add? You were the one who was always eating right. We were the one who were eating wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I've been telling Gitika that, what you are eating, that is what a human should eat.
Yes.
You are actually doing what is normal. It's the others who need to learn, what is normal and what's meant for human body. So I think Gitika, I tell her, this has come to you as a blessing. At a very early age, you started eating what you were supposed to, what a human is actually supposed to. And, all the other blessed ones, or maybe the normal people, so-called normal people, we, go on eating that, diet, which is full of carbs, a lot of sugar, which is not at all required. And, we just prepare for getting sick, prepare for a, I would say, I just had a lot of words.
Yeah.
I won't speak much, but yes, what Gitika has been eating is what I believe a human should, eat. That's what I have learned from my natural lifestyle experience. And people, I just want to tell you, we had the wildest of times in our engineering college. We did all sorts of crazy things, and nothing could hold us back. And Gitika enjoyed it to the fullest. I can vouch for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right, so right. Another thing I would like to add is Dr. Harinder has played a very big role in my early, during my early detection. So Dr. Harinder, would you like to put on your video? So I have touched upon in the one entire chapter, I have spoken about what he taught me. Yeah. So of course, one of the things was he himself was a type 1. So that apart, the few tips, very philosophical tips that he has given to me have stayed in my mind till now, and I've practiced them, fortunately. One of the things he said, in Punjabi was chini, chinta, chaat, chugli, ye sab chhod do, right? Lead a simple life, lead a life like a yogi, and you will never suffer. He told me, try and walk instead of take a cab or an auto or a rickshaw. It will not only save you money, it will also burn your sugar. It will be under control. It will keep you active. Third thing he said was be independent financially. Stand up on your legs. You'll be able to always look after yourself. The fourth thing he said was no fast, no feast, which is such a right advice. The same goes back to the same thing. Eat in moderation. So moderation was something which I have followed, and that's something which has really helped, in maintaining my sanity, in ensuring that I never feel that burnout in my life. Yeah. Dr. Sadhna, would you like to add anything? You are on mute. Up mute pen. Okay. Okay. Anyone else would like, Papa, would you like to add anything?
I will.
Yes,
First of
Papa.
all, okay, here I am. I am Geetika's Papa, Daddy, whatever you say. So we have been in it together now for 28 years. I'm a scientist. I was a scientist when she got it for maybe more than 20 years. But I tell you the truth, I didn't know what is type 1 diabetes. I mean, that is the level of ignorance for somebody like me. So when it was announced on telephone by my brother-in-law, a doctor from Delhi, he told me on phone, Geetika has type 1 diabetes and she will have to take injection morning, evening, whenever, you have to get used to it. I'm saying all this because most parents, as Geetika also said, unless you have cancer or you have a family member or friend as a cancer patient, you hardly know about real things about cancer. So similarly, even educated people about type 1D, they may not know. They may know what is diabetes, that as I did. So first thing is parents, or as she says, the safety bubble, the primary safety bubble must educate themselves. So I first ran to library, to those days Encyclopedia Britannica and all, what is type 1D. I ran to our diabetologist in BRC hospital, Dr. Kulkarni, she told me. I went to Dr. Ajgaonkar, some of you may be knowing his name. He was the pillar of diabetes.
Juvenile Diabetes Foundation.
Juvenile Diabetes Foundation.
We recently lost him
in Mumbai.
last year.
Recently he died. He did a lot for type 1D. I mean, he will take care of young children. The way he did, nobody possibly can do for other children. So I had to educate myself. Then I and my wife went to meet her first time. Now it's big decision has to be made, or had to be made that time by me and my wife. Should Geetika stay there 1600 kilometers from us? A small part of us is there. That is Geetika. Are we ready for that for the next 3 to 4 years? Look at, you are already under trauma, shock, but you have to behave yourself. You have to be positive all the time. So I went there. We took a conscious decision. Of course, all other relatives and family members also supported us. It was a bold decision. We are not going to uproot her. I could have brought her to Bombay and say, okay, after a few months, you will join some other college. Don't worry, life is more important. Those are the conventional thing to do. But we thought she will be there because we had relatives there. And also that was my university earlier. So I knew about it. Second thing I say, you have to be up against surprises every day, even as a parent. I'm not a diabetic, but I went to dispensary of that university. I met the doctor. I used to do all those things. I'll run around, do as much as I can. I found the glucometer there is not working. Come on, that gave me a shock. And then where she will keep her insulin, bring a small refrigerator, keep it in her room, take permissions from warden and all those things. And rest of things is history. But I think positivity together matters a lot. And it is not that we are doing a favor to Geetika that by taking special care of her. It should be a matter of normal behavior. The way we treat our other child, we treat her. I mean, it is not that we will not chide her for something. It is not that we won't pamper her. It is not that we will not give her a small sweet once in a while. It is not, absolutely not that. So let her behave the way she is. That has been the mantra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yakni sir, and it was such a pleasure listening to you. And this is actually from a parent's perspective, how to manage a child, how to strengthen yourself from within to give that amount of support and care to the child. So thank you so much, and kudos to you and your entire family for supporting Geetika the way you have. And congratulations to Geetika for writing such a fantastic book and writing about her experiences. And I'm sure it will help a lot people to just cope up with the condition. Let us now move on to the next segment, that is the question and answer session.
Yeah. Before that, Chitra would request Sangam Khanna to speak a few things.
Yeah, sure. We'll have the feedback session as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Just so he's my Dr. Mama's son, and my Dr. Mama was the one who discovered. For me. So yeah.
Geetu, it's been an age. I still remember the day when you discovered diabetes, and maybe about 6 years later, I discovered the same. And I could see my father, being a doctor, really couldn't console me as much as I trusted on what you said. And you simplified my life so well. And I must be very, very thankful to you for mentoring me through. And even as late as till last year, I kept talking to you sometimes whenever I get time or whenever my sugar levels go haywire. So I've been trying to discipline myself. This is got everything about discipline, and my wife Vandana takes care of me. So given half a chance, I would still like to sneak in one extra slice of a chocolate. But anyway, thank you for contributing to my life and mentoring me through. Thanks, Sita.
Thank you, Bhaiya. You are my safety bubble. You and Bhabhi is your safety bubble.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone?
Thank you so much. I think we can quickly move on to the next segment. Chitra, would you just like the Q&A and the feedback, and then
So we have some students in the audience who are interested in nutrition, and we have also the panelists. So anyone wants to ask any questions to the panelists or to Geetika, you can go ahead. So even the panelists can interact amongst yourselves. So if you have any questions that you want to ask to each other, please raise your hand from the reactions section. Go to your dashboard and there's a reaction.
Also, if you have any questions about Geetika's book also, or any question about the book, you can go ahead and ask that as well.
You can quickly raise your hand from the reaction section that is there in the dashboard, and we'll spotlight you. Okay, so Dr. Ahuja has raised his hand, so please unmute yourself and yes.
Hi, Geetika. Congratulations, first of all, for this much needed book. Can you just take us through the index or the sneak peek? We're really curious to see or know what is there inside it.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, the chapters and all. Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I can make you the host for some time, Geetika, if you want. So that you can share your screen then.
That's right.
So you're now the host and you can share your screen.
Yes, you can see my screen. This is a table of contents. It starts with detection, when it got detected, and when I was told about insulin and that I have to take insulin injection, I would be not allowed to have sugar or sweets, and have to be eating in limitations. Yeah, that's the second chapter. The third chapter is about Dr. Harinder's teachings to me. Fourth chapter is all about learning, first injection, yeah, when Dr. Sadhana gave me the first injection. And fifth chapter is about when my parents came to visit me, 1,500 kilometers away. And that's how, when my ketones disappeared magically when they came in, yeah. Sixth one is about how I was learning to ride the bicycle of exercise, insulin, diet, and monitoring. Yeah. Then comes how the routine helps us to create predictability, and you dodge the uncertainty. Yeah, that's only because of the routine that you create. Yeah. So of course there are different schools of thoughts here today which exist. One is you eat as per insulin. The other is you take insulin as per what you want to eat. So I have always followed the first one because I think that helps me to maintain my weight, my overall fitness. The second one, of course, one is it's okay with pump. It's very much possible with pump. You eat as much as you want and you adjust your dose. But I think the chances of eating junk goes a little high. Yeah, I must tell you, I don't color my hair. All my hair is black, thanks to yoga and thanks to the kind of food I've been eating. Yeah. Okay. Then the seventh chapter, as I mentioned, is about creating predictability. So you follow a very disciplined routine. The eighth chapter is all about safety bubble that we've touched upon and how my parents created the safety bubble for me. And, how with a lot of love and care and support, I got, support from even unknown people around. Yeah, that's what ninth chapter is about. 10th chapter is about how I was juggling the 4 pillars, and sometimes would fail. Sometimes I would be successful, and slowly I started becoming more successful than I would fail. Then it is about, how certain, challenges in my engineering course I've tried to avoid, but then I was suddenly made to realize, it's important to get out of your comfort zone. And that's where I've spoken about how safety bubble is different from comfort zone. Safety bubble allows you to take risk. Comfort zone pulls you down. That's the difference. Yeah. And then I've spoken about, nothing came between me and my dreams. And I did what I wanted to do always in my life. Yeah. The 13th chapter is very critical, how I was refused my first job on medical rounds. In spite of the fact I was offered made the offer letter, and when I disclosed, I myself disclosed, I was a well-controlled diabetic, but so nobody got to know in my medical reports, but I chose to disclose. And that was when I think the real acceptance came in. 14th is all about the new beginnings, old learnings, which is when I started working. I started learning to create my own safety bubble, my own support system, and with completely new, I became independent and I started creating that conducive environment around me. 15th chapter is all the critical milestones that I achieved, right from being independent, working. I got married to my batchmate Manu, who's very affectionate, very careful. He takes a lot of care of me, very loving, and I started practicing that. Yeah, and of course we gave birth to a beautiful daughter. So yes, all the milestones achieved in life, which are achieved by the so-called normal people. And of course, there was never an option of giving up. Yeah, but this chapter talks about diabetes burnout and how my family helped me to take care of it. Yeah. Then of course, life is precious, make it large is all about, you must have a hobby in your life, because apart from managing, apart from leading a normal, usual stuff in your life, you must do something which is your passion, which you want to do. I see Jyotsna has a passion of looking after T1D. Andrew has a passion, which is how can I help T1D to develop.
I think Geetika has lost connection, but yeah, it was a true pleasure listening to her. Yakmi, so you had a question for...
Yeah, I just wrote it down, but I'll repeat in one sentence.
Yeah.
The obesity is a scourge. It's the enemy of good health, and it brings all kinds of problems. heart problems, so cancer, and also of course diabetes, So I like Dr. Ananda Ahuja particularly to say something about it.
What about diabetes?
Obesity, particularly among young children. When I organized a lecture on cancer by Dr. Badve, Rajendra Badve, so he makes it a point to tell young children, school children, that you roly-poly ones, you are going to.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Actually, childhood obesity is something very less talked about. Let's go back conventionally. During the colonial times when India was an impoverished nation, we did not face these problems. We had more problems of malnutrition and tuberculosis. So because of this, we developed a concept called people who are slim. We say them ye sookh gaya hai, and people who are well fed and we obese, we call them ki ye khate pite ghar ka hai. So that mindset needs to change. First of all, we need to understand that khate pite ghar ka bachcha mota hona zaruri nahi hai. In fact, he should not be, because he has the choices to eat the right food. Unfortunately, it is surprising that junk food, why is it so cheap? So, even cost is a concern. Why diabetes and heart disease now is increasing in the developing countries, but actually the prevalence is reducing in the developed countries, is because a shift in the dietary pattern, because there now it's a protein based diet, and here we still continue to have a carb based diet right from the childhood. Development of fatty streak or the fatty atheroma or the plaque, which causes blockages in old age, the process starts in the second or third year of life. Not in the first or second decade, in the second or third year of life. So we need to emphasize that childhood is the time where you are the most energetic, most active, your joints are the most flexible. So make the best use of it. I remember in our childhood, parents had a tough time getting us back in at the end of the day at dusk. Now it is difficult for parents to push their children out ki bahar jaake khelo, because they're all the time hooked on to cell phones or video games. This change in the last 20 years or so has made a big impact, and the disease pandemic is affecting young children more and more. I told you my youngest angioplasty is 13 years, my youngest bypass is 9 years with 900 cholesterol. So, it's not something. I have seen people, parents who are both working, and they have given a card and their children order from Domino's and Pizza Huts every single day, and both meals they just eat by themselves, ordered food, because the parents don't have time or anything, no alternate arrangement. But we're seeing a lot of this impact translating into higher cardiovascular diseases. And so, yes, childhood obesity, there is a dictum for blood pressure and sugar. Everything starts in early childhood. So there's a saying which says low remains low and high goes on to become higher. So people who are slightly underweight or have lower BPs, they continue to stay in the normal range later on in life. But those people who are even slightly overweight, they tend to put on more weight. People who only have slightly blood pressure more than normal, they tend to develop higher blood pressures later on in age. So low remains low, high becomes higher. So the time to get it low is as early as possible. The intervention, if it is very early, it actually kind of regresses this atherosclerotic changes. And now we have this concept called a vascular age, not just a chronological age. You might just be chronologically 25 years of age, but metabolically a person could be 45, 55, or even 65 years of age based on his metabolics and based on the vascular age, because the damage has already set in. So it's very important that we highlight, and all these things should be or must be a part of school education. Of course, understanding trigonometry, understanding calculus, and all those things are important because it helps them develop a thinking process. But basic things like this, basic knowledge of awareness of health is very, very essential. These are life skills. These are essential skills which without exception should be taught to all, whether you opt for you're a science student or a commerce or an arts student, because life is for all. And the best part is all these diseases are lifestyle diseases. We invite them because of a faulty lifestyle, so we can kick them out of our lives also. by taking care of that. And 90% of heart attacks and strokes are preventable, as shown by the InterHeart and the InterStroke studies on 30,000 people worldwide. That 90% of heart attacks, 90% of paralysis occurs because of 9 modifiable risk factors. So it is actually criminal to allow these diseases to occur because of our ignorance or our callousness.
Thank you so much, Dr.
As they say, you know, health is wealth.
Excellent. Only you could have told us so much about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other question?
Just quick one-lines.
Yeah, Souvik has a question.
And Souvik, because they are our panelists, so the feedback about the session, just quick one-lines from you.
Sir, one thing I want to ask to Anand sir. Hello. Sir. Can you highlight something about this type 1 and what the RAAS, that is renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, which how it is related, both these things?
Well, all this is basically an interplay of hormones. The renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, the RAAS, is a primarily endocrine system based in the kidneys, and it is concerned with salt and water homeostasis. It is meant to protect or preserve salt and water. So in tropical countries like India, where people conventionally sweat out a lot, it helped in salt retention, water retention. But now with a changed lifestyle where we do not sweat as much as we should have been because of AC, because of all the comforts that we have, we don't require this overactive RAS. Again, conventionally, if we go back to the evolution, man as a hunter, we had a lot of injuries and cuts because of irregular life and a hunting or a wild nomadic life. So this also helped in reducing blood loss. But now we don't have that kind of lifestyle. So we do not require that level of RAS activity that we have today. But unfortunately, we continue to have that because we have evolved like that. And it will take some time before it regresses. So until that time, we will have to take care of the RAS system by maintaining the salt and water homeostasis. And when diabetes sets in, it activates two systems. One is the RAS system, and the second is sympathetic nervous system overactivity, the SNS overactivity and the RAS overactivity. And together, their interplay causes a lot of fibrosis, causes a lot of hypertension, causes vasoconstriction of the arteries, and it also increases the levels of blood pressure, increases sugars, and it also increases something called an insulin resistance. And that in future leads to many diseases, not just heart attacks, but heart failure, kidney failure, strokes, peripheral arterial diseases, carotid artery diseases. The list is big.
And another question is, sir, how vitamin D3 is related to this type 1 diabetes? How vitamin D3 can reduces the type 1? Is there any chances of this vitamin D3 to reduces the type 1 diabetics?
Well, vitamin D3, I won't say it reduces. If someone is deficient in vitamin D, then it will overact, because vitamin D3 is primarily synthesized in the liver. It is a triple hydroxylation which occurs. The third hydroxylation occurs in the kidney. Sorry, not the liver, but in the kidneys. So people who have a deficient RAS activity, again, it's not a direct correlation. But people who are deficient in vitamin D3 will have an over-aggressive RAS, a compensatory RAS, which will have, it's kind of a compensatory mechanism by the body, which goes haywire and goes out of control and leads to many other situations. So I would say overloading people with vitamin D3, because remember, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin and it has its toxicities. But 90% of Indians are deficient in vitamin D, and their deficiency should be corrected. It will have a lot of impact, not only on the bones and muscles, but also on various endocrine functions. Also immunity, if you're talking about even COVID today, vitamin D is very essential for the immunity against the COVID. So most of us are deficient despite being a tropical country, despite being no dearth of sunshine. And it is synthesized in the skin.
But in India, sir, we are having a lot amount of sunshine is there in India.
Despite that,
but despite that, we are having this suffer of this vitamin D deficiency.
Absolutely. So having vitamin D deficiency in Scandinavian countries was understandable, but to have vitamin D deficiency in India is something which
having 54-degree temperature, high degree temperature, still it is having suffer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahuja, for answering all these questions. And these are actually very important for type 1 diabetics to know. And thank you, Souvik, for asking such good questions. Monica, a quick feedback. Do you have anything to say to Gitika? Because she's written a book that is right up your alley, like the psychological aspect of it. So any questions to Gitika?
No, I just want to congratulate her. She's a great warrior, in fact. I won the battle, and the battle ended actually for me. But for her, every single day is a battle for her. So
thank you. Thank you, Monica. It means a lot. You two are an inspiration for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, you're really a warrior, Vika. I'm glad I get to know you.
So yeah, Monica, thank you for joining in, and thank you everyone for joining in. This has been an enlightening session. I'll be stopping the recording here, but we can continue with our interactions now.